Hey, welcome to the Business Network Podcast. My name is Dean Renfro. I'm host of the podcast. We are so glad to have you with us. Business Network Podcast is all about helping local businesses, whether it's a brick and mortar store, an online store, a franchise, any kind of business owner that's trying to put the message out there about their business, their product, or their service. We want to interview them and give them a chance to tell their story about their service, their product, what their business is about to the world. And this gives them a platform to do that. And we're so glad to have you with us today. So let's get started with today's podcast. But first, a word from our sponsors.
Well, that was a great word from our sponsor. Appreciate everybody being with us again today. Today, you know, in America, we have in the last couple of years gone through some really, really difficult times. But even a decade before that, we began to see this rise in people's lives of people gaining weight and starting to have more health problems that healthy people shouldn't be having and those kinds of things. And I know for myself, and coming up into COVID and then through COVID, I gained 50 pounds. That's the heaviest I've ever been in my life. And one day my wife said, that's enough, no more. And so I went on a regimen, lost the 50 pounds, real excited about that. But today's guest has made it his life mission to help people who find themselves in all kind of health situations and has the track record to prove it. So I'm glad to have Nathan on with us today. He's going to share with our audience just some really great insight about the whole element that we face in today's culture in America, especially. Nathan, tell us about yourself and your company and get started with this passionate story that you have.
All right. Well, thank you. First of all, Dean, I appreciate you inviting me on. Interestingly enough, I know this wasn't intentional, but you invited me on. It just so happens to be National Diabetes Awareness Month. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. But my story in a nutshell is pretty straightforward, but at the same time, I think it mirrors far too many people here in America. I spent about 25 years, a little over 20 years as a professional basketball coach. I didn't coach professional basketball, but coaching was my career. I graduated from Texas State. At the time, it was Southwest Texas State in San Marcos, Texas in 1996, and immediately went into basketball coaching. I was passionate about coaching. And, you know, I got married, had a kid, had another kid. And as many of us can relate to, over time, I just progressively began to gain weight. And at age 47, I found myself just back in 2018 at about 240, almost 245 pounds. Went in and got a physical in June of 2018 and stepped on the scale almost 245 and got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes that summer. I had an A1C of 12.0. Anybody that knows anything about blood sugar numbers and type 2 diabetes knows that's extremely high. And so I was pretty sick. I had high blood pressure. Here I am being a basketball coach, supposed to be some sort of a representation of fitness and health, and I was the total opposite of that. But I got put on medication for type 2 diabetes, and that wasn't a very fun way to live. Medication made me feel miserable, a lot of energy, just feeling drained and tired all the time. So I hated it. I got introduced in the spring of 2019 to a nutrition program that was designed, number one, to help you lose weight. And number two, it was really well known for correcting high blood sugar. And so I started a program through a company called Optavia in April of 2019. So on April the 15th of 2019, I stepped on the scale as my day one weigh-in, and I was 225 pounds. Interestingly enough, I mentioned that I had reached 245. I lost 20 pounds just because of the diabetes. The diabetes caused me to lose the weight. And I froze at about 225. So I started the Optavia nutrition plan on April the 15th of 2019 at 225. And by July 15th of 2019, I was 185 pounds. My blood sugar went from the A1C of 12.0 down to a 5.7. That was 3.5 years ago. And I've been maintaining my weight around 185 for about 3 years now. And as you can imagine, when you lose that much weight in that short of an amount of time, people that you spend a lot of time with they're going to notice it. And so I had people noticing, like, man, what are you doing? Are you okay? You look like you're losing weight really quick. Do you have cancer? I mean, I got all kinds of crazy questions from friends. And my answer was always the same. Not only am I doing this on purpose, and not only do I feel amazing, but this is probably the best decision I've ever made. And so it turned from, are you okay, to, okay, tell me more about that. Because most of these people were asking me these questions, needed what I had found. And that's where health coaching just fell into my lap. Never expected to start my own health coaching business. It wasn't in the cards, but it just kind of organically happened. And so I started health coaching in June of 2019, about 6 to 8 weeks into my own personal program. And since that time, I've coached about 380 people on my program. They've lost well over 10,000, really closer to about 12,000 pounds. I've seen numerous people get off of medications for things like high blood pressure, type 2 diabetics, acid reflux even. I've seen so many reversals of illnesses and diseases just simply as a result of people getting to a healthy body weight. And so for the past 3.5 years, this is all I've done. I walked away from my career as a basketball coach and a teacher and decided to commit my life to helping other people who are in a similar situation to mine. And this is what I wake up to do every single day, is help the next person that says, hey, I've tried everything. Some of it worked. I can't maintain my weight loss. I need something that I can do forever, something that's sustainable. And so I help people every day with doing exactly that. And it's sort of just like become my life's calling. I didn't plan it, but it picked me, and I willingly accepted that call. And so I do it every day, and I love helping people get healthy.
That is great too, because again, from the process that happens with people with all these things, and for most people, it's kind of like the weight loss thing. It gets noticed faster. The putting it on doesn't seem to be that way. We just kind of wake up one morning and go, I think I'm overweight.
Yeah.
But it's like, I've heard you talk about this. There's a lot of things going on in the putting on of that weight, that our body becomes diseased inside and we don't know it. It's not like, oh, I cut my thumb and now I can see it and I got to get it well, or I go and have a surgery and the scar's got to heal and I know about that. But there's a lot of things, like you mentioned in the diabetes thing. These things are going on and people they're not even aware of it. It's happening to them. And then all of a sudden they find themselves, what many times is concluded in the other field of medicine as, well, you can't cure that. You just got to live with it, manage it, take this pill, do this, do that, but you're always going to be that way. And I know you and numerous people that I know that you have coached through this process aren't there anymore. They have overcome that, because the body, as you point out so well, the body is an amazing miracle that can heal itself if you give it the right fuel. And I know part of y'all's program has, your program is made up of 4 steps. So tell our audience a little bit about, just real quick, those 4 steps and what the difference that makes in, quote, say, a diet plan.
Right.
You can get off the internet,
Right. No, I love that, because the diet culture in America has been a massive failure. It's not going to change if we haven't figured out by now that diets don't work. I don't know what it's going to take. But we intentionally go with this thing from a standpoint of lifestyle transformation. So we have a 4-component program. The first component is what we call our Habits of Health system, and it's a mindset part of the program. In fact, I wish I had my book. I have a Habits of Health book. I'll show it to you right here, just kind of spontaneously. This is the Habits of Health. It was written by Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, who's the founder of our company. And that particular book is designed to help fix what's in between the ears. And that's 90% of the issue anyway. It helps to deal with habits. It helps deal with things like food addictions, emotional eating. It deals with all the things that diets don't fix. So our Habits of Health system is our first component and the most powerful part of what we do. The second component is that every single person that does our program has a coach. It's like if you're watching this program, if you're watching this or listening to this podcast right now, and something I say spurs you to go to the Optavia website to do some research, and you decided that you wanted to be a client and you wanted to do the program, they would assign you a coach. You can't do the program without one. Naturally, I would love to be that person, but everybody has a coach on the Optavia plan. The third component is our community. We have a sort of a motto that we're better together. And so people, and you mentioned COVID earlier, if we didn't learn anything from COVID, but this one thing we know for sure, people are meant to be together. We are wired for community. We are wired for connection and relationship with other people. And when you find yourself in a community of like-minded people that are on the same journey as you, it just enhances your odds of success that much more. So community is a big part of what we do. And our fourth component is the food that we actually provide people that is designed to help your body burn the fat. I won't get into all the science of that right now, but when you combine those 4 components of our food, of our community, of our coaching program, and of our Habits of Health, those 4 things make this program the absolute best thing you can find on the planet. I've seen it all. I've talked to everybody that's done it all. And without fail, they come back after doing this and saying, there's nothing I've ever seen like this. So those 4 components are game changers. It's not a diet by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, and I think that that for people, I think that's exactly right. It's the transformation that has to take place in a lot of places, like you said, up here and in here and then out here where they see it. Because so many times we don't know a lot of times why we're doing what we're doing. I mean, some people eat because they're stressed. Some people eat because they're depressed. Some people eat because everybody else is eating and they don't know, they don't have the right habits of eating and those kinds of things. And of course, that all affects the body. But I know for every business, there's always challenges, especially when you're trying to, especially when you talk about weight and diet and those kinds of things. People always go, oh, because of what you just said. Oh, I know. Yeah. Oh, it's one of those again.
Yeah.
I'm sure for you guys, that's even a challenge of getting people past the, oh, another one of those, especially as we're coming up, to the prime time.
Right.
Here, go do this. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to be blasting everybody because January is that moment that everybody says, I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
So how do y'all approach this process? How do y'all help people out in the local community or even, nationwide? And I'm assuming even probably worldwide, but like you said, what are some challenges that you find that you face with that process for people? What is it that people need to understand really of how you can help them and get that word out to people?
Yeah. I think the biggest hurdle that I have to overcome, or at least that I come up against with potential clients and even current clients, is getting them to understand the importance of changing. You have to change not only what you do, but you truly have to change who you are. I'm a big believer in the concept of identity. And I'll just use this as an example. If you were an alcoholic, you would not go to AA to kick that habit and to break that cycle and to stop that lifestyle and then say to yourself, I'm only going to drink on the weekends.
Right.
That's not how it works. If you were a recovering drug addict, you wouldn't say, I'm just going to do drugs on Saturday, or I'm just going to do drugs at Thanksgiving. or at Christmas. People don't treat food with the respect that it deserves when it comes to the addictive natures of food. And so one of the things I have to get through people's head is, look, you have to come out the other end of this as a different person that lives a different lifestyle. And you have to turn around and walk away from the person you are right now, and you have to become a new person. Identity, a great example of an identity would be, and I'm not this, but it's a great example, is a vegan. If you took a vegan into a steak restaurant, do you think just because they were at the steak place that they'd eat a steak? They would literally look at you and say, I don't eat that because I'm a vegan.
Right.
So what we want people to do is come through the program saying, you know what, I don't eat that. I don't drink that anymore. That's not who I am. And the identity side of decision making is the game changer that we really try to help people understand. You're going to have to change who you are. You're going to have to change your identity. You're going to have to look at food from a different perspective now. But when you shift that identity, it becomes so much easier to maintain the weight loss that you get while you're on a program. So I would say that's the number one thing I come up against, is just getting people to recognize the need for actually changing, and this not being there's no finish line to health. That's why diets don't work as well, is because people think I'm on a diet now, but when I'm done with this diet, well, that's the problem. Yeah. There's an ending, there's a finish line to a diet. We have to understand there's no finish line to health. We're going to start a new lifestyle. We're going to change directions, and we're just going to walk the other way for the rest of our life.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that is so true from and even this from basketball coaching. It's you can take any kid, they may not have natural ability, but you can teach them the basics of playing basketball. Right. There's some people that are going to pick that up and it's going to become their life. And then there's other kids that like, okay, basketball season's over. Now I'm doing this. Now I'm doing this sport. Now I'm doing that sport. And it comes back around next year and they're like, I'm not playing this year. It's because it didn't get in them, and I think that's a great analogy about diets. Oh, it's over. I can go back to, and those things all creep back in, and that kind of thing. So when you talk about, I know one of the things that y'all help people with is this whole thing of goals for themselves. One of them being, you got to change who you are. Until you can do that, this is going to be a struggle. But for your business, what are some of the things you see coming up now that we're kind of at the end of 2022 and we're coming into 23? What are some goals that you have for yourself and your business that our viewers could say, that I need to follow after that idea because it could change my life too? Because you've got some great stories. I've heard them. I've seen them. I know some of these people.
Yeah,
and
right.
I have watched that transformation in their life, not only physically, but emotionally and socially change for them. So tell us a little bit about some of the things that you're looking forward to coming up in the new year.
Yeah. So in 2023, I would love to be able to help 100 people make this change in their health, to make the decision to let me coach them, to be a part of the program that I coach. That's kind of a simple numbers goal, is 100 people in the year 2023. But right along with that, I have some really big long-term goals, and this is probably going to make some people think I've lost my mind, but I'm just going to say it because I like speaking my goals out loud and just declaring them. So I have a really big, hairy, audacious goal, a BHAG. 10 years from now, I want to be able to look up and have 1 million people who have said yes to their health and started our program as a result of me becoming a health coach. Now, you say to yourself, well, if you're going to help 100 people in 2023, but you want to help 1 million in the next 10 years, how in the world do you do that? That's not even realistic. Here's how it's realistic. Our company is always looking for coaches. We're always looking for other people who want to join our mission and do what we do. So in 2023, one of my big goals is to bring on somewhere between 25 and 30 health coaches into our company to go run with this thing and go make a difference in their communities, in their circles of influence, in their worlds with people that I will never, ever have an opportunity to connect with, but they can. So 100 clients in the year 2023 personally. And if I can find about 25 coaches that want to join hands with me and say, let's do this together, they can go out and reach people. And then we can start to make a massive difference in health. So that's my 2023 goals for sure.
Well, you know, in it really, in any business process, the concept of multiplication is what makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You can add a sale here and you can add a sale there, but you know, to really grow your business, you've got to multiply the process. And of course, for most things, that multiplication comes through the power of other people. Just like you said, I can do 1 million people by myself, but if I can get other people to do other people, to work with other people, to work with it's exponential, and it just grows.
Yeah. I was talking to a lady this morning. I had a conversation in person with somebody this morning, and I told her my goal is like, I want to help 1 million people in 10 years. I want to see 1 million people change their lives for the better in the world of their physical health as a result of me becoming a coach. And this is what I told her. I'm using the same concept to change the world that Jesus did.
Yeah.
He found 12 people that said, I'm in, and look what happened.
Right.
And that's how I see it.
Well, and I think just, you know, on that side of the fence, the very thing is true. He found 12, and those 12's lives changed, but it also changed their mind, and their hearts, their soul, their spirit, their life. And that turned into 120, and that's turned into millions. And more importantly, it's been going on for over 2,000 years. And so you can see the power of that shift happen. Well, the same thing has to happen, I believe, for people, you know, for this physical body and this mental temple that we have, and our responsibility not only to our families and to the ecosystem itself, and to the other people around us, our community, as you pointed out, it's important. And I think those programs like yours that you're talking about, this idea of transformation is so huge. So if people want to find out more about you and what you do, is there a way for them to contact you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. I think the first simple place would be my website. So my website is www.itfactorcoaching.health. My social media is, I'm on Facebook. If you were to type it into the URL, it'd be facebook.com/healthcoachredmon. And my Instagram handle is Nathan Redmon Health Coach. My last name is spelled Redmon. So Nathan Redmon Health Coach. You can find me anywhere of those 3 places, but probably the easiest place would be just itfactorcoaching.health. I've got a newsletter that I put out monthly. You can subscribe to the newsletter. There's a place on the website for you to just say, hey, I'd like more information. You just pop in a couple of fields of information entry, and we can get in contact that way. But yeah, I'm easy to find, especially through social media as well.
Right. And of course, if you're viewing this podcast, you can always just put it in the comments below this, and we'll make sure that Nathan gets noticed that you said something and asked for any kind of information, and I know too, and I've seen this for you. I know you have, and I want to encourage our viewers to go to his website and just look at some of the transformations that have happened. Because I know oftentimes people think, I can't do that, or it's going to be too hard, or I don't have any support. And they've covered all the, I'll use this word because I think that's oftentimes what people do, excuses that we tell ourselves. They're really lies that we tell ourselves, that they have solved that because they have a proven system. It's not a fad, it's a system that works. And so I would encourage all of our viewers to go there and just see some of the transformation stories that have happened for some of the people that Nathan has coached, and these people that are on a journey, and it's changed their lives. It is very impressive, especially when you know these people in person, to see what they have gone through in that process. Well, Nathan, I really appreciate you being on the show with us today. Any last words you want to share with our viewers today?
My motto is simple: change is possible. There's a lot of people, especially when it comes to physical health, they just feel like they've tried it all and they've just thrown in the towels. Like, I've tried everything, nothing works. I just would say this: change is possible. we can help. If you have some issues, whether it be weight loss or anything other that might be caused by being overweight, just give me a call. Let's just talk about it. I don't charge anything to have a conversation. There's no fees for consultations, none of that. I'm just here to help people get healthy. I know where you're at because I've been there. And so I would just say simply that change is possible. And if I could be a part of that process of helping you see the change that you want to see, I would be honored to be a part of that journey with you.
Well, that's great, Nathan. Again, really appreciate you being on the show with us today, and opportunity to come back soon to be able to talk maybe about another particular component that you've been able to help people with, and maybe even have some of those people who've been transformed come on with us and just have a discussion about,
oh man, that'd be great. Yeah,
the elements that have changed for their life, both emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually, socially. Those are, huge things. So again, viewers, I appreciate all of you being with us today, and I want to encourage you, go check out Nathan's place to find a way forward. I want to tell you, he can help you if you're struggling, but you've got to take the first step. He just can't come find you. As bad as I know his passion is to really, really help people, you've got to take some action here to get started. So just simply go check it out, or drop a comment below this podcast, wherever you're watching it, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching it. Just drop a comment. We'll get it to him, and you can start having a conversation. Again, Nathan, thanks for being with us today.
Hey, thank you so much for letting me come on today. I really appreciate it.
Wow, what a great show today. I appreciate our guests, each and every one of them, as they come on and are part of the Business Network podcast. You too perhaps might be a business owner and you'd like to feature your business and tell your story, and we'd love to have you as a guest. You can go to the businessnetworkpodcast.com, and you can see the link here on the screen, and just fill out an application. It's not an obligation to be on the show, but we want to start the process with you to be able to say, hey, let's talk about your business and see how this podcast could be a great fit for you, and for you to get the assets that go along with this show to be able to promote your business in a lot of different places. So, hey, thanks again. We look forward to you being with us again on the Business Network podcast. Talk to you soon.